So Dell always has a lot of interesting concept pieces and prototypes to show off at CES. Usually you see them once and you never see them again, but I do like seeing this kind of future tech, future hardware, what people are thinking about. This year for CES, Dell actually brought back one of the concepts from last year, and I like seeing it evolve year after year, even if it's not really any closer to being a shipping product you would go out in a store and buy. Now, one thing we saw last year was called Concept NYX, NYX, and it was a gaming server, and you could put all your PC gaming information on it and access it from anywhere in the house, so you wouldn't have to be tied to one location. Okay, that seemed like an okay idea. This year, NYX is back, but now they're showing off a NYX controller, which frankly is a pretty cool-looking game controller. It's got a lot of extra features packed in, even though it has that Xbox game controller look. The first thing I noticed is that light-up central button. It's actually a fingerprint reader, which I think could have a lot of applications, and I don't know any other gaming controllers that do that currently. There's also some sensors under the shoulder button, so you could run your finger along them and, let's say, I don't know, increase your volume or decrease your speed and things like that, in addition to pressing them like buttons. There were physical scroll wheels under the central part of the controller. That's something I've never seen before, and I could see that having a lot of applications to zoom in on a map, to scroll through a menu somewhere. I thought that was pretty cool because your thumbs can just hit them and then get out of the way. And then flipping the controller around to the back, there were some paddle buttons on the back, and I've seen those on some controllers before, but Dell was using these as shift buttons. Like you hold down one of the paddle shift buttons and let's say all the assignments for your face buttons change, and you can have like 4 different setups like that, especially for PC gaming where you want to go through a lot of menus and you may have a lot more things to deal with than you do on console games. That seemed like a pretty good idea. So even though this Concept NYX game controller is again a prototype, it's not anywhere near being a real product that you go out and buy, I thought it was one of the cooler prototypes that I've seen, and I could really see practical uses for this, especially because that standard Xbox game controller style has just become so pervasive. It's the default for all PC gaming, a lot of console gaming, but it's old. I think it's definitely time for an evolution there. Now, Dell is also using the NYX name for what feels like a completely unrelated set of tools and experiences. This was a hybrid work thing where you could participate in meetings in VR and mixed reality in real life in front of a monitor using a bunch of different hardware and software tools. The first thing I did was sit in front of a auto stereoscopic 3D display and create an avatar, and I could use my hands to do some motion controls to make my little avatar guy. Then I got up and went to another station where there was an actual desktop monitor, kind of a big desktop monitor in front of me that had a big camera array on the bottom. And this turned out to also be an auto stereoscopic monitor that's glasses-free 3D, which I saw a bunch of maybe about 9 or 10 years ago, really wasn't ready for prime time. Now I've seen several examples of it recently, even here at CES, and what they're doing now is they're using eye tracking cameras. So the left and right images that create the 3D image for you are really mapped to your eyes and where you're looking, so it's a much better, much more stable 3D effect. I thought it was pretty cool, and there were also some very interesting input devices. Besides a regular mouse, they had these little jog wheels and other sort of office tools that looked like they were very cool for scrolling through menus, just interacting with things in a different way than just the standard mouse. I thought that was the most interesting hardware part. To me, if you said, what is the connectivity hardware part of NYX, it's probably going to be this big monitor with the eye tracking camera below it, if it ever even becomes a product. But then I also put on somebody else's VR headset. I think it was a Pico headset, and I was able to participate in the same fake meeting in VR. Then I went into another room, and the whiteboard from the meeting, the virtual whiteboard was there on a screen, and I could interact with it with a tablet. So I got to see a whole bunch of different ways to be in the same meeting, and I think that's kind of a more practical application of this whole metaverse concept, because we're not all going to be sitting there with headsets on. You're going to have not only mixed reality, you're going to have people with mixed sets of tools, and I think that's what Dell might have been trying to show me with this NYX connectivity kind of suite of hardware and tools and experiences. But again, these are all prototypes, they're all concept pieces, they're just meant to kind of work out ideas, and they may or may not ever work their way into real products. But I do like seeing people take a deeper look at what the future of work is going to be like.